if I told you that your dog chose you? Not randomly, not by accident, but deliberately, across lifetimes. And what if the bond you feel with your beloved companion isn't just emotional attachment, but something far more profound? A connection that death itself cannot break? In 1933, a woman named Mrs. 268 sat before Edgar Cayce, the most documented psychic of the 20th century, and asked a question that had been haunting her for years. She wanted to know about her little dog, Mona. Where had they met before? Had they shared a past life? Cayce's answer shocked everyone in the room. "A lion," he said calmly. She was a lion. Her tiny, beloved pet, the one who curled up at her feet each night, had once been a fierce lioness in ancient Rome. And not just any lioness, one that had fought in the Colosseum, one that had faced her husband in mortal combat as Christians were thrown to the beasts. Now pause for a moment and let that sink in. What does this tell us about the nature of animal souls? About the journey they take after death? And about the profound, eternal connection you share with that furry friend who greets you at the door each day? Today, we're going to explore one of the most fascinating and emotionally profound subjects in all of Edgar Cayce's readings. What really happens to your dog after death? And I promise you, by the end of this video, you will never look at your pet the same way again. The question everyone asks. If you've ever lost a beloved pet, you know the grief that follows. It's the empty space by the door where they used to wait for you. It's the silence where their breathing used to fill the room. It's reaching down to pet them and finding nothing but air. And in that moment of profound loss, a question rises up from the deepest part of your soul. Where did they go? Are they still somewhere? Will I ever see them again? For centuries, mainstream religion offered little comfort to those who mourned their animal companions. The official position was clear. Animals don't have souls. They can't go to heaven. When they die, they simply end. But Edgar Cayce's readings tell a radically different story. A story that begins with a fundamental truth about the nature of all life. You see, according to Cayce, everything that exists, everything, is a manifestation of the divine pushing itself into physical form. In one of his most profound readings, he explained that spirit pushed into matter and became what we see in our three-dimensional world as the kingdoms of the earth: the mineral, the vegetable, the animal. Did you catch that? The animal kingdom, including your dog, your cat, every creature that walks, swims, or flies, is spirit made manifest. They are not soulless biological machines. They are expressions of the divine, just as you are. But here's where it gets interesting. According to Cayce, while animals do have a spiritual nature, a life essence that animates them, there is one crucial difference between human souls and animal souls. It's not that animals are less than humans. It's not that they're spiritually inferior. The difference lies in one single factor: free will. In reading 9091, Cayce stated clearly, the will is that factor which makes man different from the rest of the animal kingdom. What does this mean? It means that while humans can choose to defy their creator, to go against divine law, to make choices that lead them away from the source, animals cannot. They live in perfect harmony with the creative forces. They never sin in the way that humans can. Think about that for a moment. Your dog, in its pure innocence, is living closer to divine harmony than most humans ever achieve. Every wag of the tail, every moment of unconditional love, every instance of pure joy at simply being alive. These are expressions of a soul in complete alignment with its creator. And this innocence, this purity, it doesn't end when they take their last breath. The journey continues. Now, let's address the question directly. Do animals continue to exist after death? According to the Cayce readings, the answer is an unequivocal yes. In the readings given about little Mona the dog, the one who had once been a lioness, Cayce made it crystal clear that the lives of animals continue after death. They don't simply blink out of existence. Their spirit, their essence, their love, it all continues. But it goes even deeper than that. Cayce revealed that animals also reincarnate. They return to physical form again and again, just as human souls do. And here's the part that will make your heart swell with hope. They tend to stay with certain soul groups. Let me say that again because I want you to really hear it. Animals stay with their soul groups. Just as human souls travel together through incarnations, meeting as lovers in one life, as parent and child in another, as friends in yet another, animals do the same. That dog who seems to understand you like no one else ever has. That cat who appeared in your life at exactly the moment you needed comfort. They may have been with you before, many lifetimes before. The woman who asked Cayce about Mona wasn't just curious about her pet's past life. Her niece also asked about Mona in her reading, and Cayce revealed that the niece had known Mona too, in that same Roman experience. A 16-year-old girl in another reading was told that her current pet had been with her in an Egyptian incarnation. Do you see the pattern forming here? These aren't random connections. These are soul contracts, sacred agreements made between spirits who love each other, who choose to journey together, who find each other again and again across the vast ocean of time. If this resonates with you, if you've ever felt that inexplicable recognition when meeting an animal for the first time, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. Have you ever looked into a pet's eyes and felt like you were seeing an old friend? These stories matter. They help all of us understand the deeper nature of these connections. Now, let me share something that many people find deeply comforting. When Cayce was asked if Mona would always be a dog in future incarnations, his answer was fascinating. He said no. That depends on the environment and circumstances. The soul that was once a fierce lioness had already transformed into a small, gentle companion dog. Who knows what form she might take in future lives? But here's what remained constant. She stayed with her people. The form changed, the species changed, but the bond of love remained eternal. The nature of animal souls. Now, I want to take you deeper into what Cayce revealed about the actual nature of animal consciousness. When asked if a reading could be obtained for Mona the dog, Cayce gave one of his most intriguing responses. He said yes, it could be done, but with a catch. It may not be understood, he said, unless you learn dog language. On the surface, this seems like a bit of Cayce's famous humor. He was known for his wit, even while in his deep trance states, but I believe there's profound wisdom hidden in this playful answer. Cayce was telling us that animal consciousness is real, valid, and complete. But it operates in a different mode than human consciousness. Dogs perceive the world differently. They think differently. They experience reality through a lens that we, with our human-centric perspective, can barely imagine. Their souls are not lesser souls. They're different souls, operating by different rules, living in a different kind of alignment with the divine. And this brings us to something called the group mind, a concept that appears throughout the Cayce readings. Animals, according to Cayce, operate according to a collective consciousness, what we often call instinct. This doesn't mean they lack individuality. Any pet owner knows that each animal has its own distinct personality, its own quirks, its own way of expressing love. But it does mean that animals are always in harmony with their true nature. Unlike humans, who can become twisted by ego, corrupted by fear, led astray by false beliefs, Animals remain true to what they are. A dog never pretends to be something it's not. A cat never wears masks. They are authentic in every moment. And this authenticity, this purity of being, it's what allows them to be such profound healers in our lives. Think about the times your dog seemed to know exactly when you needed comfort. The way they pressed against you when you were sad without being asked. The way they celebrated your joy as if it were their own. This isn't coincidence. This is a soul fulfilling its purpose. According to those who have studied Cayce's work on animals, our pets come into our lives with sacred contracts. They're not here by accident. They choose us, or we choose each other, because there is work to be done, lessons to be learned, and love to be exchanged. Your dog might be teaching you patience and loyalty, how to live in the present moment, how to love without conditions or expectations, and how to find joy in the simplest things. A walk, a meal, a moment of connection. These are not small lessons. These are the lessons that souls come to earth to learn. And sometimes, the greatest teachers come on 4 legs, or signs they're still with you. Now let's talk about something that brings profound comfort to anyone who has lost a beloved pet. The signs that they're still with you. Many people who have studied the Cayce material, combined with modern research into animal communication and after-death contact, report that our pets continue to reach out to us after they've passed. Have you ever sensed your departed pet's presence? Heard the familiar click of their nails on the floor? Felt the weight of them on the bed, even though they're no longer physically there? Caught a glimpse of movement in your peripheral vision right where they used to sit? These experiences are more common than you might think. According to those who work with animal communication, a field that Cayce's readings actually validate, the souls of our departed pets often hover near us, especially in the period right after their passing. They want us to know they're okay. They want us to understand that death didn't end their love for us. Edgar Cayce himself said, "Death is only passing through God's other door." This applies to all souls, human and animal alike. But here's what makes animal after-death communication unique. Remember what we discussed about animals lacking free will in the way humans have it? This same quality that keeps them aligned with the divine during life also seems to make their after-death contact more pure, more direct, and less complicated by the doubts and fears that sometimes muddy human spirit communication. When your dog visits you from the other side, there's no agenda and no unfinished business in the human sense. Just love, pure and simple, continuing to flow across the veil between worlds. Some of the signs people commonly report include dreams where their pet appears healthy, vibrant, and happy, often communicating a sense of reassurance that everything is all right. Physical sensations, the weight of a body on the bed, the brush of fur against a leg, a warm presence in a favorite spot. Other animals in the household behaving strangely, looking at empty spaces, wagging tails at nothing visible, moving aside as if making room for an unseen companion. Synchronicities, seeing their breed everywhere suddenly, finding a lost toy, hearing their name in unexpected places. And perhaps most beautifully, the appearance of a new animal in your life that seems to carry some essence of the one you lost. Because remember, according to Cayce, your pet can come back. Not in the same form, perhaps. Not in the same body, but the soul that loved you, the consciousness that knew you. It can find its way back to you. Think about that for a moment. That puppy in the shelter who locked eyes with you and wouldn't look away. That stray who appeared at your door right when you needed them most. That animal who, from the very first moment, acted like they already knew you. They might just be an old friend. Returned. What this means for how we live. Now, I want to shift our focus from what happens after death to what this knowledge means for how we live right now. Because if everything we've explored today is true, if your pet really does have a soul, if they really did choose you, if your bond really does transcend death, then this changes everything about how we approach our relationships with animals. First, it means that every moment with them is sacred. Not just the fun moments and not just the easy moments, but all of it. The early morning walks when you'd rather stay in bed, the vet visits and the messy cleanups, the aging process with its slowing steps and graying muzzles, and even the goodbye. All of it is part of a soul contract, and all of it is meaningful. Second, it means that your grief, when they pass, is holy. In a world that often dismisses pet loss as somehow less than human loss, this knowledge validates what you already feel in your heart. This isn't just losing a pet, this is a soul departure, a temporary separation from someone you love. And of course it hurts, of course it leaves a hole in your life, of course it matters. Your grief honors the bond you shared. Third, and perhaps most importantly, it means you can trust that the love continues. Not in some vague, wishful thinking way, but in a real, grounded, spiritually sound way. According to the principles found in the Cayce readings, love is the greatest force in the universe. It literally cannot be destroyed. It transcends form, it transcends time, and it transcends death itself. The love you share with your pet? It's part of that eternal force. And that means something else too, something that many people find profoundly comforting. You will meet again, maybe in this lifetime, if their soul chooses to return to you in a new form, or maybe on the other side, when your own journey through physical incarnation is complete, or maybe in ways and places we can't currently imagine. But souls that love each other, according to everything Cayce revealed, they find each other again. The healing power of this knowledge. Before we go deeper, I want to address something practical, something that might be on your mind right now. How do we use this knowledge? How does understanding the spiritual nature of our pets actually help us in our daily lives? Dr. Doug Knuven, a holistic veterinarian who has studied the Cayce readings extensively, makes a powerful observation. He says that acknowledging the deeper levels of animal existence leads to a more complete healing attitude, not just for our pets, but for ourselves. Think about what this means. When we treat our animals as purely physical beings, biological machines with no spiritual dimension, we limit both our relationship with them and our approach to their care. But when we recognize that they possess soul attributes, everything shifts. Suddenly, the quiet moments with your pet aren't just nice. They're spiritual communion. Suddenly, the grief when they pass isn't excessive or embarrassing. It's an appropriate response to a soul departure. And suddenly, the sense that they visit you in dreams or send you signs isn't wishful thinking. It's real communication across dimensions. And here's something else, something that might surprise you. According to research that validates much of what Cayce suggested, the spiritual bonds we share with our companion animals actually enhance our own well-being. Studies show that pet owners have lower blood pressure, reduced stress, and stronger immune systems, and we tend to live longer and be happier. But from a Cayce perspective, this isn't just about chemicals and hormones. It's about what happens when two souls connect in love. Love heals, and this isn't metaphor. This is spiritual physics. When you sit with your dog and feel that wave of pure, uncomplicated affection, energy is moving, healing is happening, and both of you are being lifted closer to the divine. Your pet isn't just making you feel good. They're participating in your soul's evolution, and you're participating in theirs. This is the sacred contract in action. This is what it looks like when two beings choose to journey together, to learn together, and to love together. And death is just one chapter ending so another can begin. What the skeptics miss. Now, I know some of you watching might be wrestling with skepticism. Maybe you've been told all your life that animals don't have souls. Maybe the idea of pet reincarnation seems too good to be true. Maybe you're afraid to hope, and I understand that feeling. But let me ask you something. Have you ever looked into your dog's eyes? Really looked, and not seen something there? Something beyond mere biology? Something that recognizes you, loves you, knows you in a way that defies explanation? That something has a name, and it's called soul. The mainstream religious traditions that denied animal souls were operating within a specific historical and philosophical framework. They weren't evil or stupid, but they were limited by their time and by the need to establish clear hierarchies between humans and the rest of creation. Edgar Cayce transcended those limitations by accessing information from what he called the Akashic Records, the universal memory of all that has ever happened and all that ever will. Cayce was able to glimpse truths that go beyond any single religious tradition, and what he saw was truly beautiful. He saw that all life is sacred, that spirit pushed into matter at every level, mineral, vegetable, animal, and that the creative force that you might call God expresses itself through everything that exists. This includes your dog, the bird at your window, and the cat that chose to share your life. We are all part of the same tapestry, all threads in the same grand design, all sparks from the same divine fire. When you love an animal, you're not loving something separate from God. You're loving one of God's expressions, one of the infinite ways the divine chose to experience itself in physical form. And love like that doesn't end. It can't end, because love is the very fabric from which reality is woven. A deeper truth. I want to leave you with one final thought, one that goes beyond dogs, beyond pets, beyond even the question of animal souls. What if the reason we love our animals so deeply is because they remind us of something we've forgotten? Think about it. Your dog lives in the present moment, and so should you. Your dog loves without conditions, and so were you designed to love. Your dog trusts completely, and trust is the very essence of faith. Your dog finds joy in the simplest things, and joy is our natural state, before the world convinced us otherwise. Maybe our pets aren't just companions on our journey. Maybe they're teachers sent by the divine to remind us who we really are. Edgar Cayce spent his life trying to help people understand that we are spiritual beings having a physical experience, that love is the force that binds the universe together, that death is not an ending but a transition, and that all souls are on a journey back to the divine source from which they came. Your dog knows all of this, not intellectually, but in that deeper way, the way of pure being. And when you look into their eyes, really look, something in you remembers it too. That moment of connection, that feeling of being truly seen and truly loved. That's two souls recognizing each other across the dream of separation. That's the divine meeting itself in the mirror of another's eyes. That's what survives death, and that's what lives forever. So the next time you're sitting with your dog, scratching behind their ears, feeling that warmth of pure presence, know this: you are participating in something sacred. A bond that wasn't formed by chance, a love that isn't bound by time, a connection that death itself cannot sever. Your dog didn't just wander into your life. They found their way back to you, and when their journey in this particular form is complete, when you have to say goodbye for now, remember what Edgar Cayce taught us. Remember that little Mona who was once a lioness. Remember that souls travel together, and remember that love, real love, soul love, is the one thing in this universe that truly lasts. Death is only passing through God's other door. And on the other side of that door, they'll be waiting for you, tail wagging, just like always. If this video touched something in you, If it brought you comfort or gave you hope, please share it with someone else who might need to hear this message. There are so many people grieving their beloved pets right now, feeling alone in their loss, wondering if it all just ended. It didn't end, it doesn't end, and it never will. Until next time, hold your pets a little closer, look into their eyes a little deeper, and remember, you're looking at an old friend, one who chose you across lifetimes for love.